Oh my goodness. If someone saw me after not seeing me for 15 years, I'd go, my goodness, Caitlin, you look so well. um, yeah, I did put an excessive amount of sunscreen on before I went out this afternoon to buy some wine. So I need some fucking wine, which those of those of my audience who were really good at spot the difference pictures might have assumed that I've had some of. Um, yeah, no, I slathered. I ran out of my preferred brand of sunscreen, which is Bondi Sand. I hate the word Bondi, I really do, and I don't like sand. So I'm triggered every time I fucking look at the label. However, it's a really, really, really good sunscreen. The Aussies know what they're fucking doing, and they certainly do on the Gold Coast. So I assume Bondi Beach is on. And it's also, believe it or not, it's really non-greasy. But then what I did is, because I'd run out, I was like, shit, okay, I know the golden rule, don't put two different kinds of sunscreen on. And there's a whole load of reasons for that, but I think probably mostly because if you're not an industrial chemist, don't practice industrial chemistry. And the thing is that you can inadvertently practice industrial chemistry by mixing chemicals that you think are just sort of cosmetics. And in New Zealand, unlike in Australia, sunscreen is classified as a cosmetic. It's not classified medically. So we don't know. We don't fucking know. One of my favourite things, this is not at all what I was going to talk about, but one of my favourite stories was like everyone, no, not everyone. I don't mean everyone colloquially, because actually, like I can do colloquial. I can do colloquial just fine. Thank you very much. And I know that when I say everybody, I know that, and I expect that people know that I don't mean everybody, I mean the majority, because that's colloquial. That is the connotation, not the denotation. But very commonly people think that I'm a fucking hippie because I'm vegan. And I don't know if it's better or worse when I explain it's got nothing to do with what I put on my body, it's all about reducing animal harm. Um, I don't know if it gets better or worse. So I really don't. I don't. Either way, people think I'm a fucking, um, you know, uh, fucking obnoxious foghorn. Um, which I am, but not for veganism because that just harms animals. But where was I? um, oh yeah, that's right. Talking about fucking hippies, it's like I've known so many fucking hippies or people who are adopting parts of hippiness. Anyway, like years ago, as is the way that, like if I've got an audience who's over, who is over, 50, they're going to go, oh, bless you in your 40s. But, I have been an adult for, a statutory adult for over a decade, and over 2.5 decades. So I do have the right to go years and years and years ago because I do honestly forget how long ago it is. I expect I was something around 30. But I went to a beach in Auckland with few gals, and a couple of those gals opined that sunscreen, just sunscreen in general gave one skin cancer or the propensity to get skin cancer or did other horrible things to you. And so they, instead of using sunscreen, they used like nut oil, like the oil that like nuts produce to protect themselves. I think they'll be using walnut oil. And so they stabbed themselves in walnut oil, which looked, frankly, because I'm not jumping on the neurodivergent bandwagon, but I am very excited to learn more things about neurodivergence and going, hey, it's not actually my personality, it's a disability, which it doesn't matter. I mean, for a libertarian, it's the same fucking thing. It's like I'm responsible for it either way, but it's like, oh, right, it's actually not like my unique, fingerprint personality. It's like lots of neurodivergent people, which I think means I can't figure out what on earth people mean by neurodivergent unless they just mean autistic and with ADHD. I've heard of uh, or DHD or something weird like that, but I can't think of anything else. I mean, I've got OCD as well, which I was diagnosed with as a teen. I don't know what else there is really. Tourette's. I'm really not really sure. I don't really want to call it neurodivergent, but I also would like a name that would just encompass ADHD and ASD because they do. There are some reasonably nicely developing, not developed, but nicely developing hypotheses about the relationship between the two, and that I don't find that this myself to make an awful lot of sense, but that they can exist on their own spectrum with ASD on one end and ADHD on the other, but that doesn't really seem to sort of fit the comorbidity model. But whatever it is. So anyway, watching these two girls slather themselves in a walnut oil just set off every fucking, oh my god, sensory fucking horror in my body. And the thing is, just because I have sensory discomforts, and sometimes, I mean, it's the discomfort can be as intense as pain. It doesn't mean that I make it anyone else's problem. I just sit there rocking quietly going, oh my god, please don't look that shiny. Anyway, they got horrendously sunburned. And do you know why? Because they're not walnuts. they're human nuts. Anyway, I'm this shiny because I used two varieties of sunscreen, and I used a fuckload of it because I was a little bit concerned because it was a very sunny day, and it's very concerning. And I had kind of an interesting day. Which was much like the other days that I've been talking about, where I just sit in bed all day doing admin, and then like the motel manager knocked on my door and gave me some chocolates, which I assume from my research into human celebratory customs across generations and continents indicated a generic but not particularly emotionally felt goodwill that was perhaps not specific to myself. And I was in my pajamas, and it was like 1 o'clock, and every time I try to explain to people, I'm in my pajamas not because I have been lounging around in bed, but because I've been sitting in bed, and I don't like getting dressed and then sitting in bed, because I don't like wearing my clothes in bed, which I'm doing at the moment. But I'll tell you my little rule of thumb is that I'm wearing a dress now, and it's a clean dress, and my rule of thumb is that I can sit in bed in my street clothes as long as I haven't sat on something in public or otherwise, made contact with anything that I wouldn't want to be made contacted on with. I'm really trying to find a preposition so I don't have to backtrack too much grammatically. But anyway, so I don't mind sitting on the grass. I don't mind a bit of like horse shit or whatever. You honestly never know what kind of animal shit you know you're going to find in Christchurch. The scatology opportunities in St Albans are prolific. But yeah, no, I didn't sit on a bus, and I only briefly sat on a park bench, so that's why. But anyway, whatever I'm trying to say, just because I'm in my pajamas at 1 o'clock does not mean that I'm lazing around. It's because I'm fucking trying to do all this fucking shit before I get out of bed, and I quite often forget to take my meds, and anyway, whatever. But anyway, I got like shitloads of like traumatizing bad news all at once, because the justice system is like, you know, like just one big I'm trying to think of what that name for Transformers. You know how the Transformers, when they were really gearing up for something really big, they would all click in together to make this big, like, it's called something really generic, like it's not even a special Transformer name, it's just something really generic, like a connector or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, the Decepticon, like a Decepticon, because you know there were the good ones and the bad ones, and the Decepticons are really evil, and they could also like make this big thing. And the justice system in the two branches that I've encountered, I haven't encountered corrections yet in any sort of relevant way, but so far it's just like police, tribunals, courts are all just full of fuckheads, and yes, if you are one of them, I mean you. And I'm not insulting any particular lawyer, but I'm like, can people who can't do law properly not be able to practice law, please? Oh, I'm serious. Can they get a test to renew like their license, like you do after a certain, you know, like, can you still see? Like, can you still reason from evidence? Like, can you restrain yourself from trying to persuade your client to plead guilty just so you can move on? You know? And yeah, I just had a whole bunch of sort of, I was just, anyway, whatever, I went out and I'm skipping some bits and pieces, but I went out and I bought some wine, and but before that I thought I would get dressed. I wanted to put on makeup because, you know, like I've been saying, and I don't know if anyone really listens to anything I say beyond the first few seconds anyway, but like that is my outfit, which is a slip dress, which is really pretty, and I only bought it because all my clothes were in storage, and it was like, and I'm not short, but I was also, I'm like, fuck it, I'm wearing these shoes, and then I wore my pink sunglasses, and then I kept trying to put my hair up in this fucking, you know, buckle, but I just got this plash and I was trying to like, anyway, whatever, it kept pulling out, but anyway, so I decided I was gonna like, I tried to find my makeup, but when I couldn't find it in 1.7 seconds, I'm like, fuck it, I'm out of here. And so I went to the supermarket and it's called Fresh Choice. I'll just tell you my quick funny story. When I was staying at Urban's Backpackers, there were supermarkets all over the show, like the three major ones within Kui, but Kui was a pretty long kui, and if it was raining or you're really tired, whatever, like, I mean, you're gonna do a 40-minute round trip, and it would be best to go to like Fresh Choice, which is like we didn't have them in Wellington. I don't know what on earth. Maybe what would something like Fresh Choice be in Wellington? Probably like Foursquare, but they really are like if you have a supermarket, then it's a market. So that doesn't make any sense colloquially, but like it's like a big Foursquare. So it's reasonably well stocked, better than a Foursquare, and it's very expensive. But it's close, right? So there was one that was close, and I think it was actually on Cashel Street, but I went off, stomping off down the road, looking very confident in finding it, and I couldn't find it. And then I asked this guy on, fuck knows, Colombo Street. I don't know. I said, "Hi, do you know where Fresh Choice is?" And he's like, "I've literally arrived today from Nelson." And I'm like, "Great, I've got a divining stick. I've got a divining rod for people who know Christchurch less well than I do." It's like a metal detector kind of thing. It's just like, if I ever want to ask for directions, I have this like uncanny knack of going, like being drawn to the person who's literally just like arrived from Siberia. Like literally in Kmart, which I go to all the time. A couple of weeks ago I asked this woman, "Oh, do you know where the shower squeegees are?" And she's said in a really, really thick Indian accent. This is the first time I've been here, and I'm like, that makes perfect sense. And then, anyway, after asking the Nelson guy, who was sitting looking very lost, I don't know why I bothered even asking him, I walked around the couple of streets over, and then I found this woman, young woman, and she looked friendly, and I stopped her and I said, "Oh, excuse me, do you know where Fresh Choice is?" And she okay, so she was like Chinese or Taiwanese or somewhere in east, like obviously genetically East Asian, which means nothing in particular in New Zealand or anywhere really, except it did turn out to be that she had just arrived to New Zealand. And her English was quite good, but not that great, and she just says, I will look up map for you. And I just had to pretend that I was unable to look up my map, which I had already done, to know discernible benefit. And so she opened her map, and then she says, "Can you say," she asked me to say the name of the place again, and I said Fresh Choice. And it was fucking funny, man. She leans into her phone and then she goes, "Fresh Choice." I'm just delighted to know that that's what I sound like. Fresh Choice. Because she was just repeating phonetics. She wasn't repeating phonemes. Morphemes. She was producing phonemes, right? She was just mimicking what the sounds I was making out of my mouth. A morpheme is a unit of meaning, and a phoneme is a unit of sound, and so she was just repeating these phonemes. Fresh Choice. And if we'd actually used a translation I mean, she would have had every translation software sort of, um, you know, app known to man. We could have assumed that I'm looking for something called Fresh Translation, Choice Translation. Yeah, it's just a name of a shop, like, like any shop. And then she would have probably, not necessarily changed her pronunciation dramatically, but quite possibly been able to even speak in her mother tongue. But fuck, man. Yeah, I've got a knack for it. Anyway, so we've got a Fresh Choice. I say as if I'm still in the fucking St. Albans Club. And so I went there and I got wine and nibbles and really, really, really wanted to buy some Dettol because I love Dettol, but I just bought some cheap. Well, Dettol, but I got some Dettol disinfectant, like the Dettol brand, but I mean Dettol, the brown stuff that my mum had to stop me drinking out of the bathroom basin with a spoon when I was about 6, pretending to my doll that it was medicine. Fuck, man, I wish she hadn't stopped me. When child abuse goes right, I should have died. Am I dead? Please let me be dead. Can I wake up from it all and just be dead? Anyway, so that's all good, and I ran into a guy, and I don't want to name names because that's not cool, but the day before I'd gone there, how I went out and I did my thing about walk and talk, and I was wearing a kind of grey purple jumper, and I was just talking about stuff, and I went into that, and I said, I'm at Edgware shop now, and I'm going home, and then with all the social finesse in the world, I signed off and gently faded to black before stopping the video. I was looking for laundry soda as well as water, and laundry sodas. It's chemical. I'm not sure it's chemical name, but it's closely enough. It's not baking soda. It's like it's not bicarbonate soda. It's whatever. It doesn't really matter. Whatever it is, but I having a kind of a briefly ongoing discussion with one of the people who works there. This guy. And I want washing soda because I want to soften, I want to neutralise the some of the electrolytes and the municipal water supply that is fine to drink, but it's not good for wash. That's why I wash my face with Evian, but fresh water, because otherwise I get eczema. And also, like, I want to put it in my laundry as a rinse, because otherwise my fabrics rip. That's just what happens, and that's what I've experienced. Like, it just degrades your fabrics. Nothing wrong with drinking it. It's just extra electrolytes, and I don't think it's got potassium or anything like. I don't think it's going to be a renal patient thing. You're just going to have some more calcium and bits and pieces. Nothing wrong with it to drink. It's just that it's not great for washing your skin or your clothes, right? Anyway, he gave me another thing that I should use instead, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And then the day after, yesterday, we ended up having a very long conversation, and I think he might have been on the verge of maybe getting in a little bit of trouble. And we were just kind of agreeing about how people who think they live chemical-free lives or strive to were like, I quipped, and I like this quip because it's a it's a very witty quip, and it works on two levels. And the quip is that no one can live a chemical free lifestyle. I mean, even homeopathy's chemicals. It's H2O, water. But when I do that quip, people kind of misunderstand me for a bit, as he did, and he was kind of like, yeah, you can't really live a chemical free lifestyle. And then I really love it when people just get me straight away. I really, really love it. But the only people who get me straight away are psychopaths, and I don't think they do get me. I think they're just like, oh my god, you're so intelligent. And it's not like I'm averse to having my ego rubbed, but more than anything, it's feeling that I'm understood, right? Anyway, whatever. But we got on the same page, and he ended up being a very fascinating person to talk to because he's got a background in chemistry, and he's been doing all this really amazing stuff with biochemistry, and he told me these incredibly interesting things about these tiny little bacterium that can have only one molecule of a micronutrient at a time. They're so tiny that they can eat only one molecule of calcium or a molecule of phosphorus, I'm not sure the difference, one molecule of sodium. Like, that's all they can eat. That is so adorable. Imagine like going out to dinner and you're like, am I going to have a molecule of cobalt or a molecule of iron? Like, how adorable is that? And he was just sort of saying, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make a sandwich for them, and I'm both bastardizing what he said and getting it wrong, but I'm doing it on purpose for expedience. But that's a fascinating fucking conversation to have, and before, he got a bit of a watch tap from someone up front, and we had to wrap it really quickly, but just before that, and I could feel it happening, because I'm getting there with social learning. I just said, I wonder what would happen with redwoods in California. That's what I've been thinking the whole time. Do they have this, or what? What is this? Because some trees do have this kind of thing happening naturally in the symbiosis with microorganisms, and I'm wondering if redwoods, but we're not talking about just massive growth, we're talking about rapid growth. Anyway, whatever. Today I didn't, I just sort of tapped him on the shoulder and said hi and moved on, just to kind of indicate I'm not going to talk your ear off or let you get in trouble with your boss this time. And to sports and whatever. Anyway, I was walking back, and I always pick up a box, because they've always got boxes, and I've just got this fucking obsession with boxes. Here's my box, I'm going to show you. I still don't really want to show really where I live, but this is this box. It's quite a good box. I think it's good for papers. And anyway, I then I walked along, and because what I want to do when I walk home is I don't want to cross, and I've never wanted to the whole time I've lived, when I was living in St Albans, I could never cross the road directly from Fresh Choice and go along Sherbourne Street, because that's the corner that Homewood was on, and I always, the bad juju is so strong. I would never go that way. I'd always go along Caledonian Road, and then zigzag my way up, and that wasn't a backtrack at all, but I do have to backtrack now because I'm further back in Edgware. Not in St Albans or even on the cusp. Like well, I am kind of cuspy, but I'm definitely in Edgware. So, but I still go along Caledonian Road and then go down that way to get back that way because I don't want to go there. And then because it's coming up to that time of the year where, it was just this story that I told a couple of days ago. It's turning up to the time of the year now where fucking crooks are pulling letters out of letter boxes and ripping them open and looking for stuff. And honestly, some of them are fucking stupid. Like, why would you fucking open a fucking letter from like a fucking credit shark company? Like, duh. Oh, probably actually, they're probably unmarked actually. But anyway, I picked up one from Gem Finance. And I was like, okay, well, I don't think this guy probably particularly wants his business all over St Albans and Edgware. So I was just walking along. I went to find his address, and then I was on Caledonian Road, and I passed the turn off into Tommy's Street. So weird I can never remember the name. That's so weird, whatever it was. Like, I always want to say, like, rally, like St. Walter Rally, but anyway, whatever. And I wasn't going to go up there, but I just sort of I hesitated and loitered for a moment, just looking up there. Anyway, this car passes and it turns into that street, and it's a very sleek, black, shiny car. I'm trying to see if I can recall its emblem in my mind, and I'm not a car person. It was either a Mercedes or a Nissan, probably a Nissan. And I think it was a sedan, very shiny, 4-door. And from memory, it had like nice, sort of blonde upholstery on the inside. But anyway, this guy like yells out before he turns the corner, "I know you, hey, I know you." And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, every day is a fucking mystery in Caitlin land, so I'm like, okay. So I hung around, and he turned he turned the corner, and then he pulled over, and he gets out, and he looks like Luis from $1 Million Listing New York, which I fucking love that. I love that show. And I don't know why anyone bothers with $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. It's the same way, like, it's love it or list it Vancouver or nothing. Like, it's about the people. And Frederick is the fucking best, and Ryan's okay. Anyway, so he looked like Luis, but he was probably 5'11", I guess, like whatever. And he's just this very sleek, flashy kind of guy. And he's like, "I know you, we just met." And I'm like, "We just met?" And I'm used to being a bit of a doppelganger. People think I've met me, and I was just like, I wasn't going, "No, we didn't," or "Where did we meet?" I was just sort of like repeating back to his statements back to him, but with a question mark at the end, like, And he's like, well, you know, we didn't meet, but we were in the supermarket together. And I was like, oh, okay, right. Were you behind me in the line or something? He's like, no, no. And it was a bit strange because he was saying to me, oh, are you a scientist or a chemist or something? And I said, no, I'm quite interested in, you know, those things. And I said, did you hear me talking to, and I didn't name, I think, but I said, you know, the sales assistant. And he said, no, I can just tell. So it's a bit of a weird thing to say. But anyway, we had a bit of a chat anyway, so I won't say too much about him, but he's the kind of guy who not only would I probably not personally find appealing on a personal level, like if I met Drake, I would be like, oh my god, he's so gorgeous, he's so beautiful, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. But that's because he's in real life compared to other people. But to me, Drake is a very unappealing looking guy. Like, I hate his clothes, I hate his hair, I hate like his whole thing. And like this guy was so Luis-y, and Luis is not my kind of guy with the slicked back hair and the, you know, like way too metrosexual for my liking. But meeting someone who looked like Louise, but actually like a proper, you know, sized man. I'm not saying 5'8's not a proper sized man, but you know, like I'm you know what I'm saying. Like Louise is a very good looking guy, and this guy's like reasonably tall and whatever, and he's dressed so sharp, like and so I was a bit blown away, like, you know. And so as much as I can say, oh well, I don't, that's not my type of guy, it's like, well, who the fuck am I, man? Like, to me it's not plausible that I would be like the kind of woman who would be drawn to screech to a halt on the street, you know. Like, I'm just going to show you my outfit again, okay? Like, I'm just going to show you what I look like, and I'm going to put my shoes on, and I'm just going to show you what I look like. And the thing is, like, I do look cute, but I don't look, I'm not a, you know, like, I'm not bagging myself, like, I'm fine, and I can look really, really, really good, but, like, I'm like, you know, like, that's not what was happening today. Like, that's not the girl from Ipanema, you know. Yeah, and yeah, and I wouldn't ordinarily think too much about it, except that I have had, and well before this weird fucking shit's been happening to me for 2 years, and it had started very sharply, but before that had started happening, like, everyone gets fucking scammed or schmoozed or, you know, conned or whatever every now and then, and I would put it to something a bit like that, or maybe he's just an impulsive, whimsical guy, and he is in sales and stuff, so this is as much as I'm going to say. I'm not going to say what industry. Like, you know, people can kind of just go, oh, look at that, you know, like, I was very brightly coloured, you know, maybe that's just sort of like, he was just sort of like one of those guys who's like, oh, that brightly coloured thing looks, I want that brightly coloured thing now, and then he gets home and doesn't want the brightly coloured thing anymore, I don't know, whatever it is, but anyway, like, he asked for my number, and I gave him my number, and, I asked him he said he'd get in touch in the next few days, and I said, that's cool, and I said, could you just text me though, and he said, yeah, And the problem is that I'm on my other, and I've been doing so many security updates. I fucking locked myself out of my phone, whose number I gave. So I actually don't know how to get into my phone. I don't know if he's texted me. I would not be surprised if I never hear from him again. I would not be surprised if it's something, the same thing that was happening with that guy, Sahil. Um, from Vodafone like last year, where I was getting schmoozed by this sales business guy at Vodafone who kept like trying to schmooze me, but then would just disappear into thin air and then keep calling me to the point that I would just have to keep going hang up, hang up, hang up, and he was caught. It was just really fucking weird. Anyway, like, to me it feels like a lot like that, you know. But I gave him my number. Like, I've got nothing. I've got really almost nothing to lose anymore. Like, I kind of don't care. Like, I can't. Yeah, I kind of don't care. And you know, that guy Elliot that I think I talked about, and I don't mind mentioning his name because the way he treated me was disgusting. And I did say to Joe at the time, I did tell Joe, look, I'm a little bit dodged out by this guy. So this is his number, this is his name, this is where he says we're going. But I said, to be honest, like, if he murders me, I'm totally cool with it. But you know, and I about 40. There was about a 30 to 40% in my mind thinking this guy's gonna murder me. Um, and to be honest, that was one of the main reasons I went with him, because it's like I I would love someone who knows how to murder someone to just do the job. I would really really love them. I would, you know, I mean, if you're not allowed to consent to death. The Bill of Rights is fucking weird. They're like, you're not allowed to consent to death because everyone's got the right to life. It's like, I have the right to life. Are you saying I have the obligation to life? Because those are two different things. But you're not allowed to consent to being killed by somebody else. And it's like, well, sue me, baby, because you're going to have to sue my estate, you know. Anyway, he didn't murder me. But it's like, I mean, to me, the perfect date night would be to like drink some nice wine and then just get like swiftly and expertly sort of murdered and dumped in one of those streams. I mean, fucking put me in the Avon, you know. It's been a bit lonely since the hookers stopped being up in there. If I had anything else to say, I'm not going to say it. I will just try and get some fucking shit down. Oh yeah, that's right. I was just fucking getting really irritated with the fucking civil court system, and I'm just basically waiting to be arrested by human police and just like laying down a track record to show that police have no reason to arrest me, and if they do, sucks for you, bros, because you're fucking fuckheads. Bye, love you.